Major cities across the nation are grappling with the cost of the migrant crisis, including right here in New York City. Almost 170,000 migrants have arrived in the Big Apple in the past 18 months. A third of them are school-age children, as Madison was talking about. Joining us now, former acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker. It's always great to have you, AG Whitaker. Can we talk about what we do with the families that are already here? Because I've only heard one person talk about deporting, and he's not in the White House. No one else wants to send anybody home.
No, nobody wants to send them home. And the problem is that these folks that are currently in our country that have mostly, based on the statistics, filed asylum claims that are never going to be granted are getting public services, whether that's the education system and the burden that's placing, or the housing, the food and other expenses that all of these folks are demanding right now from governments. But the biggest concern for me was the earlier thing that was mentioned, which is the terrorism threat. We have had so many people that we don't know who they are, that do not have our best interests at heart. And all I have to do is point to these attempted incursions at some of our military installations to suggest that we are facing probably the most critical moment in American national security history, worse than the threat pre-9/11. And I just, am very concerned. And I don't think Biden's executive order addresses any of that.
Matthew, Biden announcing executive action on the border today. It's getting a ton of headlines. He definitely wants to look like he's doing something. But as you read the details, do you think it's going to make any difference in terms of the crisis we face right now?
Yeah, Brian, it's a great question. Here in Iowa, where I live, most people would call that BS. This executive order is certainly lipstick on a pig, to use another Iowa metaphor. But all that being said, is it does not really do anything, because all it does is shut down the in between the borders asylum claims. But it has so many exceptions that you could, run a freight train through that. What's happening is that you have all of these folks that are coming here, and instead of having to stay in Mexico while their asylum claim is adjudicated, like we had in the Trump administration, these people are allowed to come into the country. They're given work visas so that they can work and live in the United States while their asylum claims, oftentimes taking up to a decade to adjudicate, if they show up for the hearing at all, those folks. So at the end of the day, we're going to have to bring a new system of asylum. We're going to have to narrow the categories, because these, even under Joe Biden's executive order, that's still going to allow over 1 million people a year to come in to our country, file these asylum claims that are never going to be granted.
I want to switch gears with you, if I may, and talk about the Trump conviction. Take a listen to what Senator Ted Cruz had to say on the program this morning.
There's no doubt it's an uphill fight in the New York State Appeals Court, and it is entirely Democrat. But I got to say right now, the New York justice system is a global laughingstock. This opinion, this verdict, it is an utter disgrace. It is lawless. And I don't know if the New York State Court of Appeals will do anything to step in and reverse it. But if they don't, I am absolutely certain the U.S. Supreme Court will.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, Ted Cruz obviously is a very knowledgeable and experienced lawyer. The only thing that I would disagree with him on is that the first step of this appeals process does include the potential for, of the 21 judges, a panel could include one Republican appointee. There is, out of the 21, there is one Pataki appointee. Everyone else has been appointed by Hochul, Cuomo, and other Democrat governors. But it is a dire situation. The rule of law has completely been upended by this trial decision. And it's, the fix was in. The Judge Merchan and his jury instructions, his jury selection, all of it was designed and implemented to convict Donald Trump. It's really so inconsistent with how the trials and the law should work in the United States of America that he's right. The New York courts are a laughingstock right now, and we need to restore the rule of law.
AG Whitaker, we so appreciate your time today. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.